to say it. And they finally got it out, and like they looked like children. They looked giddy about it. And that had me excited. I mean, you can't pretend that kind of giddy without being in like getting some kind of acting lessons or something. Because that looked pretty dang convincing. And not me, but to a lot of people.
Hello? I just lose you? Ham? Oh, I think I just lost Ham. Uh-oh. All right, we'll see if we can get him back.
Yeah, I'm right here. What's up?
You back, buddy? Yeah. You went away for a second.
Oh, I didn't know. You kept saying, "Can you hear me?" And I was like, "I'm right here."
Yeah, I don't know why it went away, and then it disconnected, and then when you came back, it was fine again. I don't know. I got nothing.
Dang. Oh well.
Oh, yeah. Anyhow, but I fully agree with what you're saying. I think it's going to help Xbox huge if they can drop Forza Motorsport this year, and it's awesome. And then Starfield comes out, and it's awesome. Still haven't heard a lick about Redfall, and it's supposed to come out sometime in the next like 3 or 4 months. Rumor was that it was going to get delayed, but we haven't heard anything about it really since then.
Yeah. This reminds me of what I was going to say earlier when I accidentally interrupted you, which I'm really good at doing. So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier.
Rumor was that it was going
to. Xbox has this amazing skill, almost at becoming or at looking good a couple times and then making themselves look terrible. And then looking good a couple times and then making themselves look terrible. Or better yet, making themselves look fairly good but not like completely great. Like, for instance, like if you look at last year, just last year as a whole, Xbox was loud and proud.
Yeah,
they had news every week. They had games dropping in the Game Pass that was fantastic. Not saying that what they have dropping in the Game Pass is bad right now. No, I don't think anything's wrong with the games that are currently dropping in the Game Pass. But the hype is like, it seems like they went on vacation and never came back. Like, because it felt like everybody was kind of knowing and wanting to talk about stuff and you know, this is what we got going on, let's talk about it. This is what we got going on, let's talk about it. And it was like just amazing. It felt like it was just nonstop. And then everything just really took a slowdown after Halo came out.
Right.
And it was just kind of awkward because they were just so open and, you know, ready to tell us stuff that we weren't even expecting. Like, nobody was expecting to hear about, you know. No, I mean, so let me actually change that. They stopped chatting as soon as they announced Blizzard and Activision. And that might be, there might be an honest reason behind that. They can't really say too much. Or they, but the thing is it feels like they have how many studios? Like 23 other studios on the table.
Right.
Why aren't they talking about nothing?
And most of those studios have 2 teams.
Right. So like, and it felt like, man, So you guys are really quiet now. We understand that you're doing the Activision Blizzard thing, which is fantastic. I'm really excited about that. But like, I want to hear some sort of update about Avowed. I want to hear some sort of update that's not like critical failure sounding.
Well, and
Because what I'm because what I hear is, oh, there's more Halo issues, or or they're so quiet about Crossfire X when it comes out, and the campaign that they were talking about being in Game Pass never even came. So I mean, where was the clarity on that? And like I said, Forza still has some of its issues, but those are getting addressed, is from what it sounds like. It just feels like they got us really excited and then just kind of walked away.
dude, it sounds like Crossfire X. They figured out it was gonna suck, and then we're like, all right, well, we're just gonna dip out of
Which
this
was
one.
probably a good idea. So 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 I know I'm like harping on Xbox a little bit about negativity, but at the same time, I feel like maybe they're noticing that they can play with their cards a little bit closer, because Sony's been doing that thing and still producing, making things happen, and the sales are showing right now that Xbox doesn't have to scream from the rooftop to make sales, but they need to provide games now that everybody is gonna say, you gotta play this. You gotta play this.
Well, it has been.
Forza, Halo was a good start. Psychonauts was a great start, but but I think Starfield will really shut it down.
And it was noted when Phil Spencer went on Xbox Era's 100th episode that, they still want to do better because, and Phil noted specifically what you were talking about, how they don't have a game this quarter. And not that it was going to be a 100%, Xbox made exclusive,
It was supposed to
but
be Stalker. It
right.
was supposed to be Stalker, but it sucked. It
So,
got pushed. It sucks,
but
which sucks
now
for them.
is, if Requiem is a timed exclusive, or is that coming out on everything the same day? It's just day one Game Pass. I think it's coming out everywhere the same day,
I
but
just
it's
know
just
it's
day
day
one
one
Game
Game
Pass.
Pass.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's coming out everywhere. It's just day one on Game Pass. But I'm really excited to
Dude,
see what
massive.
Asobo got for us.
Yeah, we can move on to the next topic because that's a pretty stellar segue. I want to talk about some of the new games and stuff because I've been hitting Elden Ring pretty hard for the last 110 hours of my life. Um, but we've got a few pretty cool things happening right now. And the first one of those is um, Requiem got a date for June 17th, which I think might have been sooner than some people were hoping to see it. I know they said last year during their E3 show that it was going to be a 2022 title, but after that was the first we'd seen of it, and it was just a CG trailer. I think people were thinking, oh, maybe it's going to miss that window, but looks like it'll be summer. And if you haven't played A Plague's Tale: Innocence, um, and you like single player, third person action adventure games that are really heavy on the narrative, that game is just so terrific.
It really was, man. Um, yeah, Plague Tale was a fantastic looking game, and I was on the edge of it. Like, I didn't know anything about it until Game Pass. So thanks to Game Pass.
Yep,
But
me
I
too.
downloaded it. I downloaded it what was like early last year. I think it was around this time last year. Is when I downloaded it to my Xbox. One of the early Series X and enhanced games. And when I turned it on, man, I remember everybody telling me about like how pretty Demon Souls was and everything. And I was like, bruh, is anybody looking at Plague Tale though?
Yeah,
Because this
at this
game is
3-year-old game.
nuts.
Yeah, really
This game
crazy.
is nuts. Like this game looks freaking good.
And it's
Um,
masterful the way that they took into account like the combat, because at first I thought it was going to be like a
like a walking simulator
yeah,
completely.
like Edith Finch or um the Life is Strange games where you really just walk around and interact with stuff. But
There
then
is a
they
lot of
started,
walking in the game though.
yeah, but then they give you the slingshot and um I don't know, just the way they allowed you to baby brother, which I won't spoil if there's anybody that listens to this that hasn't played, but he has ridiculously cool abilities, I'll say.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, like that game, like when you look at your tools that you have, it feels really obscure. It feels really obscure. Like it feels like, man, like these weapons suck. Like I'm to be honest, it feels like that. And then you start to use them and you figure out like how to use them.
Yes, how to
And
is so important.
how to use them is extremely important because it is very similar to me, at least. It was very similar to The Last of Us in the sense of you got limited resources, use them smart.
Right.
So, like, and it fits the story so well because, I mean, I'm not here to spoil, but you're on the run. You're on the run in that game. Why you're on the run, I'll let you figure that out. But you are on the run in that game. You are trying not to get your butt beat, and going through those areas, you constantly have a finite amount of stuff. You never have a crazy unlimited amount of things. But like the way the story is put together, it makes sense. The way that you kind of move around the areas and take care of people, you can do it. Like you can almost do it without weapons.
Right. Yeah.
You know, if you're smart about it. So I think it's a fantastic game. I'm happy to continue to play it when the new one comes out here. I believe. I think it's like the end of June.
Yep. June 17th.
Yeah, so later in June, like mid June, pretty much. But
I
yeah,
had
that
actually
game
kind
looks
of always
freaking
thought
great.
that Asobo would be on the acquisition block
Yeah,
for Microsoft, because they're,
yeah, especially with Flight Sim. Yeah,
yeah, they've got a massive contract with them for Flight Sim, and they like Game Pass, and they like, how Xbox has handled stuff with them so far. At least that's the way it appears, because they continue to work with them. But um, I thought they would be like a grand slam to make them part of the Xbox family. It just hasn't happened yet.
I think so. I think there's a lot of developers and publishers that Xbox left on the table on purpose. They want to grab the big guns first and then deal with the smaller acquisitions later. Because if they get these big deals taken care of, which they got one done already, which
Right.
was Bethesda,
Right.
and the whole, and all those teams and ZeniMax and all that jazz. Now they got something that's 10 times the price. So it's like, I'm pretty sure they're thinking, if we take care of this one, then we might be able to grab the other ones, but we won't have to go through this much.
And then now they've got three different umbrellas, right? They've got Xbox Game Studios, and then they've got Bethesda Softworks, and now they've got Activision Blizzard that they can, kind of
Well, they
put
don't
people
got them
under.
yet.
Well, right, correct, yes, yeah. They, I think they're having their vote beginning of April to get it approved by the shareholders, and then the the feds are taking their real long look. So we'll have to see how long it takes for them to decide what they're going to do. But where I was
It'd
going
be hard
was,
pressed for Microsoft to take an L out of this. I'd be surprised. But
yeah,
continue.
I think so too. One of the big things Hogue Law's been talking about is how much the federal government hates people like Amazon or even Google, things like that. They don't really have that kind of hard on for Microsoft. So I think you'll probably get some things like they'll say, hey, as long as you keep Call of Duty multi-platform, we won't sue to block. So you might get some stipulations like that, but no, I don't think they'll say absolutely not, can't go through. But now, let's say you've got those three umbrellas and you want to go and you want to grab an Asobo. Um, they seem maybe more like a Bethesda Softworks kind of team. So maybe you're going to go and put them in that bunch and let them report to those people. Same for if you were to get another, FPS studio or something like that. Not that Xbox needs any more of those. Um, but maybe that falls more under Xbox Game Studios or under Activision. Because I know one of the things that was mentioned several years ago now when they started talking about acquiring publishers was that Matt Booty's hands were really full, and to give him, more people to be in charge of starts limiting his ability to do his job effectively. And I know he doesn't want that. So I think
I'm
having
looking at.
go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Oh, finish what you were saying. Finish your statement, please.
Just gonna say that I think that's one of the big reasons that they're gonna try to have all these different umbrellas over there under um, Microsoft Gaming is to try to, if they do want to acquire somebody, just a studio, now they've got more than one place to put them.
I look at Asobo right now and some of the things that they're hiring for. And this is interesting. 3D character artist for Flight Simulator,
Oh, interesting.
right? Gameplay, like gameplay programmer for Flight Sim. Game mission designer for Flight Sim. Like just some of the stuff, obviously for a Plague Tale as well, like senior level designer, senior game designer for Plague Tale as well. And I mean, those are the two games that they're looking at on working hard on.
That's
And
nuts,
those two
though.
games are big on Game Pass right now.
I didn't know that. That's a really good find, Ham. They're looking to try to turn Flight Sim into some kind of, more than just a simulator.
Helicopter system designer, Flight Sim. How about that? We're going to get helicopters in Flight Sim. Let's go.
Yeah. Man, do you remember Smuggler's Run?
Yep.
All you ever did was drive little buggies in that game. But man, what if you get to do some cool stuff like that in Flight Sim, where you're transporting cargo, or you're driving the president around in Air Force One? Like,
Yep. They got more aircraft system designers that they're looking for, vehicle artists for Flight Sim. I mean, they got like most of like I'm gonna post this and send it. I'm gonna send this to your Twitter right now so you can see it. It's pretty interesting. Some of these jobs that they're looking for a Sobo right now, which I got it and it is in your spot right now. Bam. So you should be able to see that joint. I'm gonna post it on Twitter too because that's pretty cool. But this was from their official website.
Wild, man.
Flight Sim is looking interesting.
Yeah, that's a great find. What did you think about the Witcher announcement for Witcher 4?
I personally don't know. I don't know what to think because I'll tell you this much. Never really been a Witcher fan. Heard a lot about it. Everyone loves The Witcher 3. I own The Witcher 3
Me too.
on 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 Nintendo Switch. I made the worst choice when I decided to purchase that game. It came on Game Pass a week after I bought
Oh
it for the
no.
Nintendo Switch. I seen it there on Game Pass and was so frustrated that I just decided not to even play it.
You were going to try to play it at 24 frames a second, Ham?
Oh man, I tried. I played like the first I'm not even like the first hour of that game. Seeing the guy in the bathtub, get out the tub, you go, you end up at like a freaking graveyard or something like that, and get your horse and all this jazz. Like I played like the first hour of it, and it just and like I was down bad, I guess. I was down bad, I guess, because I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to play it again because I've only killed like the griffin. I think it is. It's like the first beast that you go to kill um in Wild Hunt, and then I bailed off after that. But I think I may give it a really serious go after they come out with the next gen patch. Here, I'm looking at that list now.
Thought I sent it to you. I sent it to a group chat of a bunch of other people, and Vinny and all them guys are like, "What's this, Ham?" And then somebody else said, "Oh, it looks like a list of Flight Sim. That's pretty cool." Whoops.
Shout out to Vinny.
Yeah, Uso. That's my guy right there. Really cool dude.
Yeah, I think it was almost a bad time to put out a a game announcement because your game that took you over a decade to make is still pretty broken. And people are expecting content for that you've already delayed in DLC and whatnot. And then you have already also promised a next gen patch for Witcher 3. And maybe it's just me overthinking it, and there's nothing to it. Like, nah, Witcher 4 is in pre-production. Like, all we've got is a storyboard or something that a small group of people are working on. But I don't know. Just seems like they had so much good faith going into Cyberpunk and have just squandered it. And I personally think Cyberpunk is a really great game. It's just not it's a subpar experience for somebody who does experience a lot of glitches and stuff. So
yeah. I mean, I'm happy they at least fixed Cyberpunk though, because that game ended up being pretty dope.
yeah, I haven't gone back to play it since they put out the next gen patch. I've owned it since day one.
You own it?
Yeah.
So if you own it, I highly recommend playing it right now.
I've heard it's even
really nice.
Like a pretty different experience altogether. Even if you've played it before, I've heard like there are some encounters that happen that are in the game now that weren't in the game initially, and stuff like that. So yeah, I when I'm next time I'm not doing anything, which Lord knows is probably going to be while gaming wise. I'll probably boot it up and check it out. Let's see. I had one more
You
thing.
definitely should, man. You definitely should. Um, did you say you beat Guardians of the Galaxy?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I was gonna suggest that if you haven't, because
Well, but
it's a
I beat
great
it
game.
on. I had just gotten my laptop when that came out, so that was a game that I actually got on Steam. Um, and my laptop was able to play it at 1080p on high settings, so I enjoyed the way that looked. But I think now that they've got it all buffed up, and I think they're running their performance mode at dynamic 4K now instead of 1080p. So um, maybe I'll look it up and check that out anyway. Because man, that game was so good. I enjoyed
Right?
it a ton. Um,
Have you
go ahead, man.
been playing anything on your PS5 lately?
I got Elden Ring on PS5.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I actually, I don't know, regret's the wrong word because I played most of it by myself. I've actually done zero co-op on it. But I got it on PS5 because I felt like, I remember a long time ago, I even did a poll because I was like, I don't know, like I want to know where everybody else is buying it and then I'll buy it there. And it seemed like at the time, most of the people I knew were getting it on PS5. And then you
I
got it
didn't
on
think I was gonna get
Xbox,
it,
and
and I
yeah,
told you to get it on PS5. I told you to get it on PS5, and then I
dude, and
got it
that
on.
I would have played it. I would have played it with Vinny, and Vinny got it on Xbox.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I've considered buying it again, and I never do that. I don't ever double dip, but I've thought about getting it again just to have it on Xbox.
Dude,
Um,
don't do it. I'll tell you right now, don't do it, because I mean, unless you love that game that much, which you very may well could, or whatever. Um, I'd say, man, do you really want to go through that from zero all over again and not have a character?
yeah, we'll see. I said
Like, because
I've looked into
when I beat a
starting.
game, I like to be able to go back sometimes just to be able to whoop ass with my good character. But I guess you could do that if you're willing to turn on another console.
Yeah, I mean, I stopped at 150 so that I can do PvP on my character on PS5. So I don't know if you know that much about what's going on now, because now that the game's been out for a long time, um, the big discussion is what is going to be the meta level for co-op and dueling and stuff. So you can only find matchmaking for people who are within so much of your rune level. So for all the previous Dark Souls games, there was 120 was the meta. Of course, you can level until all of your stats are at 99, but everybody stops at 120 and makes builds at 120 because that's where everybody stops. So if you're at 120 and you get on and you want to find people to invade or you want to find people to PvP, like you're going to be able to find that because everybody's like an unwritten rule that everybody stops at 120 and just makes their builds that way. Um, but with this, because of the nature of things, um, there's a look at making it higher. Some people say 150, some people say 175. Um, I've even seen some people want like 200, but the idea is that you have enough wiggle room with stats that you can make a good build, but that you're not like so powerful that you're maxing out like multiple stats so that you can come in and you're just um a masher, but now you can make like a caster build, or you can make a strength build, or a dex build, or a quality build, what have you. Um, so that's what people are in the middle of figuring out right now, is what is going to be that place to stop at, so that you can do co-op and PvP moving forward.
Man, I would just say, just give everybody max health, limited stamina, and let them use their stuff.
Dude, that's not a bad idea. And I don't know if you noticed when you were playing through, but in Kaled, there's a Coliseum type looking place that you can go, and there's just a Big Daddy jar standing there with his arms crossed, and you can talk to him, but it's literally just dot 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 every time you try to talk to him. He just grunts and doesn't say anything. So I'm curious if they may turn that Coliseum looking place into like a dueling ground, and it'll have that like balancing built into it. Dude, people would go absolutely crazy for something like that, with leaderboards and a progression system and like rare, loot that you could earn just from fighting in tournaments over there with PvP. This game is so big, dude. I mean, they always come out with DLC, but I feel like it's usually just like one big DLC, or in the case of DS3, I think it had two of them. But dude, they could be building on to Elden Ring with as massive as that place is for another 10 years and not have to build a new game if they didn't want to.
Yeah, man, Elden Ring is one of the most dense games that I ever played.
I've played for 110 hours, and there's still stuff that I know I haven't unlocked yet, because I was struggling with the final boss, and so I wanted to change up my build, and so I was kind of Googling some stuff and seeing what people were making, and it was like, oh, there's a really great talisman, and if you get this, it'll do this for your build. And I was like, oh, then that would be so helpful. So I went on Fextra Life and looked it up, and it was like, oh, it's at this city here in Kaled. You have to go there and light a torch, and then it undoes seals, and then there's a boss, and then there's a chest in the boss room after you beat them. And I was like, what? Like, this is in-depth stuff that I just never saw after 105 hours of exploring before I rolled credits the first time. Just madness.
Oh yeah. I mean, dude, like, if you've never really got into a Souls game, I'm talking to anybody that happens to be listening now or later, like, if you've never played a Souls game, I think you'll be absolutely amazed about this specific one, even if you're not that big of a Souls fan, because I am not. I like Astreis loves Souls games. Like, he really likes them. I do not. I find them to be just kind of redundant after a while. But for Elden Ring particularly, like, that game, it was just so open, so do whatever you want, but it was still like challenging enough to where I felt successful every
Right.
time I took out something. So like, yeah, like and it felt kind of naughty for me, particularly because I'm not a Souls fan.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here smushing these freaking bosses and whatnot, and I'm like, oh, I might not be that bad at Souls games, but I just don't believe that yet. I still don't quite believe that. I still don't think I'd have the patience to do a basic Souls game, because I'm not like the closest next game that I really enjoyed other than Elden Ring that's like Souls like is gonna be Remnant. from the ashes.
Oh, sure. Yep.
And that's because that's a multiplayer game, and y'all can run all over the map and do pretty much whatever you want. There's a story to it, and all, and it's not like open world. It's level by level, but like it's open enough to where you don't feel like caged.
Right.
So or like you have to go this one direction, which is just absolute hell. Like you can backtrack and farm if you want to in that game really easily and have a blast doing it. And like I said, since it's multiplayer and you can run along the map and do stuff for fun, which you can kind of do in Elden Ring, but I do not like their multiplayer system in Elden Ring at all. I hate it. Um, just because, like personally, I hate it.
I don't know why
I,
it didn't get more of an overhaul. Well, so it got a pretty massive overhaul with the amount of different abilities that you can use to summon people, or how it works, like with you not being able to be invaded by players when you're playing solo, and all the different things that are similar to that. But you still have to drop your sign, and then every time you beat a boss, it despawns everybody back to their own world, and then you have to go to the next bonfire and do everybody's summon signs all over again. It's like I don't know why they didn't um make it so that
whatever
you could
Borderlands is
like
doing is genius because
make
I
like a
wish,
party, yeah, that really badass drop in drop out.
yeah, I wish Elden Ring was more like Borderlands in the sense of, hey man, I'm coming to your game and just be there.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? You literally don't even need an invite from the game. You could just go to the Xbox, go to the party chat, and just choose that person's name and hit join game, and you're there.
and you get your own
You're
loot.
in their
And
Borderlands or Tiny Tina's or whatever game, and it's like that for more than just Borderlands. But I just like the seamlessness of Borderlands and just the ease of, I don't even have this game booted right now, and I can hop into this dude's game.
yeah, they've really nailed it. I agree.
So yeah, I mean, like that whole, not only putting the whole sign down part irritates me, but having to farm to be able to have the signs to put down, or you have to, you know, get runes, and you have to use your runes to purchase a sign to have co-op. Like that is so off-putting to me, especially as a person that's not into Souls games.
Sure.
That makes me look at the Souls game and be like, this is why I ain't playing Souls games that much, or this is why I want to beat the game and kind of get out, because I ain't trying to be using, like for instance, I did a boss fight with a buddy. I used like 3 or 4 of those sign things. I got like 3 or 4 left. And I'm sitting here thinking, do I want to call this person in and try to have fun with my bro? Or do I want to beat this by myself and not deal with looking for more call signs? Like,
Sure.
why do I have to make that decision?
And that used to be a reusable item. I don't know. I've never tried to put my sign down before. Just I said I was really struggling with the last boss, so I was there at that like little podium thing that they have in there, trying to summon others. So I was using my for calling fingers to try to summon sign somebody. Um, so I've never used the item that lets you put down your sign. I don't know if I realized that that was a limited item. That's insane to me.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all. It like the online in Elden Ring is just so limited, and I don't like that feeling,
Yeah,
especially nowadays when there are all these, online games, and now there's, like you can play friggin' Halo on your phone through the cloud. Like they're like the technology is there.
yeah.
So like when I don't see somebody take advantage of it, and you get like for me, if I was rating that game, that would have docked points off of it.
Yeah,
That
and
would have
unfortunately,
that
it's not going anywhere. Like they make their kind of game that they like, and it's weird and quirky and unique, and sometimes not all the best ways. But I mean, people have complained about the multiplayer systems in Dark Souls for years, and they're like, "Well, that's the way it is."
well, they need to hire a team that just does that because because right now they prove that they can make a fantastic game,
Yeah,
right? So if you can prove that you can make multiple fantastic games like back to back, you got Bloodborne, you got Demon Souls, you got now Elden Ring that's just a big freaking hit, and you have a past of dropping big hit games. Now is the time where like you just dropped this 97 banger, like straight up. Like, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will be hopping in when it's a little bit more like I don't know when I have a hard time hopping back into games that I beat to play them again, especially when there's no good when there's not a multiplayer that I thoroughly enjoy. But I will hop back into that game when like DLC comes out or something like
sure,
that. I'll do it.
sure.
Why not? Why not? Right? Because it's going to be a whole new proving ground, and everyone's going to be talking about it, and I'm going to get suckered into buying it. That's how it goes. But 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 right now, I feel like From Software is already at the point of looking like pure greatness all the time, right? So now those details matter because people expect what you brought them to the table already. Like people are going to say, I already had this for dinner before. I already know what this tastes like. This is good, yes, and I'll have another serving. But oh snap! I mean, you added a little bit of extra zest to this one, and that's what we're looking for now in that kind of game. And I feel like multiplayer would be that touch that
Sure.
game is just lacking.
Yeah, if they
Is a
got that.
comfortable sit back, kick it with your friend, and give me just a crazy multiplayer where me and my friend are just as stressed as I was by myself.
And they've done the opposite, right? Where, like they made Sekiro, which was a Game of the Year winner.
Ooh,
Um,
yes, yes.
and
I skipped right over that one.
Sekiro has no multiplayer in it at all whatsoever, and it doesn't have. Honestly, dude, it's like not even a Souls game, other than the sense that it's just flat out hard. But it doesn't have multiplayer. You can't get different weapons. You can't upgrade your weapon. You have the prosthetic that you can upgrade and collect stuff to make different abilities with for that, and that's what your upgrade mats go to. And then you've obviously got like the healing flask kind of mechanic, but I think it would be really cool, going off what you were saying, if they kind of flipped that on its head and made something that was primarily multiplayer, um, and really, no, not something that you couldn't play solo, because nobody wants that, um, but something that is really geared for a multiplayer. So if you choose to play with friends, that experience is as good as if you choose to play it by yourself. And if there's anybody that could nail that, I think it would be From Software, because they just put so much time and love and passion into their games. They do whatever it takes to make a game good. I thought there was no way Elden Ring could live up to the hype train that it created. That monster of a hype train.
It lived up to it, but if they decide to go back to the single player route, that's fine. But that's the expectation that you're set.
Sure.
And to be honest, I had the expectation when I heard Elden Ring had multiplayer in it. If I knew that it was going to be this kind of multiplayer, I would have been a little less excited about for it, to be honest.
I gotcha.
And that's the kind of touch that I'm asking for. Like, if you're gonna bring another game where you're gonna advertise multiplayer, I don't want to farm to get multiplayer. I want to just be able to play with the bro. And like,
No, yeah, let me
sure,
create a party of 4 and go through content of, whatever variety or world that they choose, because world building is their like super forte. I agree.
but but I mean, like I said, it's still possible. You can still run around and do stuff and call people in and do some pretty fun things, but it definitely isn't like once you call that person in, it kind of feels like, I'm not sure if you've ever played 2-player on like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Have
No.
you?
No.
Yeah, dude. So there's a mode in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. It's kind of sneaky in there. It doesn't really advertise it that much. But when you go behind CJ's house and go to the girlfriend that he has in that game that lives right down the street from her, after you take her out on so many dates, it will give you the option to do multiplayer in that game, and that's with any of CJ's girlfriends in that game, I believe. So
That's
like
awesome.
yeah, exactly. It's like a hidden gem, and I'm actually gonna have to mention something about that on Twitter and see how many people actually did that, because that is something that I feel like is kind of an Easter egg in that game. But yeah, if you did all of like the dates with her, and you guys were on like great terms or whatnot, you could go over to her house, call her on a date, plug in a controller into the second slot, and control that character. But the
Nice.
thing is you could do everything that CJ could do, right? So like if you picked up guns and stuff like that, you could shoot and stuff like that. You could get into the car and ride with CJ and whatnot. But you couldn't go very far apart. You had to stay in the screen
Sure, you were
of the
tethered.
first player.
Yeah.
So so it was very tethered, very very tethered, and that's what Elden Ring kind of reminds me of in the multiplayer sense. It's not as tethered and like close together like that, but I'm just saying, like, if there was a 2022 version, it reminds me of that, where it's like there are games where you don't have to be so tethered, but you kind of are, and you kind of got to deal with what you can in the situation that you're put in. Like
Right.
you're not free to just do whatever you want.
When you play Elden Ring in co-op, can you, as a cooperator, pick up weapons and stuff, or get pickups, or are you barred from doing that if you're not in your world?
So you're the second person is like all red. They looked like they look like an enemy pretty
Hmm.
much,
Oh, gotcha.
right?
Okay.
And they're just there to help you. They don't really get anything out of it from what I understand. I could be wrong.
Right.
I
I
could
think
be wrong about that, but from what I understood, like I had Vinny come in and play with me on 2 different fights, and I don't remember him saying anything about what he got from it. I just remember him just coming in fighting, and then after the
piecing out.
fight,
Yeah.
he left. He left. Like he didn't leave me.
No, it
The game
automatically
told
kicks them out. Yeah.
exactly. The game kicked him out of the game. So I was just like, I was expecting when he jumped in and I beat the boss that he would still be there, and then we could do something else. That's what I anticipated when I first did that with him. And then when he left, I was like, like it feels like we're playing together, but it more or less feels like,
You're just here helping me, and then
yeah,
peace
like it
out.
feels so
Yeah.
kind of catch and release that that was that multiplayer, and also the lock on in that game were the two things that drove me up the freaking wall.
Oh, and
Everything else was great.
the lock on used to be so good. I mean, not that it was ever perfect, but you used to have to like get within a specific range to lock onto stuff. And I feel like with the open world, they extended that range too much. So now if like something's right in front of you, you'll always lock on to something that's like a mile away while this thing right in front of you is kicking the shit out of you. It happened to me so many times.
There's that. You walk just past like a pole and you lose them, and
Oh
you have to
yeah, yeah.
re-lock on to them all the time.
When you lose last sight.
Um, like just some of it, and then you go to click back to get them, and you turn a 180, and I'm like, why?
Yeah,
How do I turn off the 180? I don't want to do it at all.
if you
Like,
go
I'd
into your
rather just
settings,
spam it. Like,
if you,
okay, so you can turn it off, is
if
what
you
you're
go into
saying.
your because you just have to undo the key binding for the right stick to also center the camera, because that's what's happening is you're looking backwards and then you're trying to lock onto something and it doesn't lock on, it centers the camera, which is why it whips your camera around the way you're
Ooh,
facing.
it's so bad.
Yeah.
It's so, especially when you're in like a pressure kind of. If I get, because multiple bosses can hit you like once, maybe twice, and just burn you.
Yeah, especially in
So
those
so
gank battles.
yeah, so like if you get like let's say you're going versus Godskin, like duo, Godskin duo. Oh my god. If you and you gotta remember that fight is in something smaller than a basketball court.
Right. Yeah, that chapel.
Yeah, so like you don't got a lot of places to run. So if you whip your camera the wrong way just for like a second, that big glob motherfucker will come and stab you.
And you turn into a big old muffin and start rolling around.
Oh, that is the worst one too because it's hard to
So
dodge that thing.
so in the original Dark Souls game, there was it was Executioner Schmo and oh man, everybody's gonna hate me for not knowing the name of the other guy, but it was built like that. There was just this small dude that would zip around with a lightning spear and could do like AoEs, and he had really strong, like powerful attacks. But so you were running around the map trying to stay away from him, while Smo was just this monstrous dude, slow with a hammer. But if you like made a wrong turn while you were running from the other guy, uh, Smo would, man, he would take that chance and just annihilate you. So Godskin Duo is just like that, but worse because they share a health bar. So if you kill one, they'll just respawn them. So
Right.
irritating.
Yep. I killed that. I had to kill that. I had to kill everybody twice.
Yeah, yeah. I wound up just avoiding homeboy rolling around, and I just killed the little one a bunch of times because it seemed like he would die faster and take more damage from me.
Right, but man, dodging that big bro was terrible.
Yeah, because
But
he's so
bro,
fast. That shit defies physics.
before we move on or do whatever, I
But
just want to
that's
talk
my last
about
topic.
getting.
So
Oh, okay. So I just want to talk about, bruh, getting to the Godskin fight is almost as bad as the fight
oh yeah, that
because those dudes with the swords,
yeah,
before you get to that fight, like if you die versus Godskin, then you gotta go through those dudes again.
dude. And
It is-
some people had PTSD from the banished knight that you fight in Stormvale. Remember when you unlock that or you open that door with all the paintings in it, and then the cutscene starts, and then the cutscene ends, and he comes just ambushing you, and you're in this fucking jail
yep,
cell of a room.
it was awful. Yeah, that door slams.
Yep. So now you're in Fair Missoula fighting one of those dudes around every corner with different weapons and stuff. Yeah, they're terrifying. I just learned to run. I didn't fight them
Yep,
all again. I just ran.
yep. I fought them twice, and I was like, that Godskin duo is just
Yeah.
too hard. I am not gonna fight them each time that I revive or something because I ended up fighting Godskin like I'm not even lying like 30 times. That might be generous saying
And
that.
I think I did it in 7 or 8 tries. The two that got
Lucky.
me was I respect for Millennia, the swordswoman, the rot fight in the Halig tree. Dude, she had my number because I'd been a strength build the whole game, just unga bunga and people, smashing them, and it worked out really good until I got to her, and she was so fast, and like
I
I could
know.
I could smash her once with my colossal sword, and then she would do one of those things where she flies up into the air and then does like the three flurries of attacks, and she'd have
Hmm.
all of her health back, and I was like, dude, I don't know how to do this.
Right.
So I
Because,
literally,
yeah, I did the same thing with my magic. And even when I get her down, then I got to the second part, and like that's one of the only bosses that I've yet to beat, and I don't feel comfortable going into that battle. I'm
yeah,
so
dude.
happy that that wasn't part of the main storyline.
Right. Yeah. Dude, I said I respect for it. I went from my strength build to a bleed build. So I went to the palace approach and I just grinded runes until I could buy enough smithing stones to max out Uchikatana and the um, Nagata. And then I just put a heavy bleed Ash of War on both of those. The Sapporo, the one where you stab yourself like a samurai, and then you whip it out, and you have like blood on your blade. It turns your katanas into like um, 89 or something blood buildup. Um, and then I went and I fought a whole different like Everjail that I hadn't fought before to get Black Knife Tish as a summon. Dude, I did so much to be able to even have a shot in that fight. I cheered so loud when I finally beat her.
I bet.
And then Elden Beast was real hard. I struggled with that
Yeah.
one a lot.
Yeah, I struggled with that one for a while, but I ended up figuring out how to get through it. But Millennia, bruh, I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna do that one because I know I'm gonna have to respec. That's one of the things, but I need to figure out like what to respec. I mean, I might have to look up like a guide or something for that one because, oh, bro.
Yeah, man, I think a lot of the stuff that I looked up said that bleed builds are really good for her because she's not immune to status effects, but she's not weak to any particular type of damage. Like you can't just put like magic grease or fire grease or something like that on your weapon and do a lot more damage to her. And I feel like that's a pretty heavy tactic to use against other bosses, especially early on in the game. Like fire grease works on everybody, but um, so but she's like I said, she's not immune to status effects. So I'd read a lot of people were doing dual wield katana bleed builds, and then so I would literally just run in there and whack her a bunch and try to proc bleed, and then when she would look at me, I'd run away like a little bitch until she wanted to fight with Tish again, and then I'd come back and start whacking at her some more. Uh, and then the only thing that saved me was having what was I gonna say? Oh, that rot thing. Like I was able to figure out how to get out of that because her second phase is ridiculous. She has all the same attacks from the first phase, but now she can build up uh, rot, and that stuff just annihilates your health bar if you get it.
Yeah, I know. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. I got to that second part, and I was like, I don't even know how to do this.
Dude,
This is awful.
that is a level of frustration I've only ever found in Souls games. I thought I'd played other like hard games before, but that is their next level. Well, you got anything else you Want to talk about anything else for the good of the order, brother?
No, not right now, really, bruh.
Cool. Well, again, to everybody who checks us out later, I apologize for being a little inconsistent there for a while. I want to get back to being here every week with Ham on Mondays and Boos and Lang on Thursdays. So um, we'll see y'all in the future. Thanks for checking us out. Appreciate it. Have a good
Absolutely.
night.